If you are a recruiter and spending hours on LinkedIn searching for candidates, this video is for you. Here is what you will learn. You will learn how to screen thousands of candidates from your LinkedIn search results within minutes instead of hours. And I will also show you how to write personalized outreach messages at scale based on a checklist for each individual candidate. So based on how well they fit the specific role you're recruiting for and on their past and current employers. So you're going to have messages like, let's look into them as an example, like here. Hey, John, I came across your profile and was genuinely impressed by your role as developer advocate at Asana. Your expertise in engaging developer communities and your background with AWS aligned perfectly with an exciting position at VAPI. That's the position we use in this tutorial. Where you can shape our developer relations in the voice AI space, would you be open to a brief chat to explore this opportunity? And then a personalized follow-up message. Hey, John, I wanted to follow up as our hiring process for the developer relations lead role at VAPI is moving quickly. And I believe your experience as a developer advocate at Asana makes you a great fit. If you are at all curious, I'd love to hop on a call to discuss this opportunity before it closes. Let me know when you are available. After this tutorial, you will know exactly how to actually get this done. So why is this even relevant? Inbound spam. So especially in this developer world, more and more candidates are aware that they can actually personalize their applications using AI. This allows them to basically tailor fit the application, including their CV, to the role they're applying for. Meaning, from a recruiter's perspective, you can't really judge anymore which is actually a good candidate and who is a bad candidate or a bad fit candidate for the specific role. So what is the answer? The answer to this, I think, is active sourcing. So this gives you a single source of truth that cannot be personalized towards a specific job opening. And for a lot of roles, that is probably the LinkedIn profile. So this is why active sourcing is a great solution to that. But active sourcing is expensive if you're using a shotgun approach, right? So if you're trying to message every relevant candidate or potentially relevant candidate on scale without really checking them, it's a big endeavor, right? So you have to send out a lot of messages, and LinkedIn has quite restrictive limits. So you're going to hit those limits very fast. The alternative is to buy in-mail credits, but in-mail credits are incredibly expensive. On top of that, you might even burn your reputation because you're reaching out to candidates that are irrelevant for this role, or rather this role is irrelevant to this candidate. So you burn your reputation, and you might even start a lot of conversations that lead nowhere, right? So you're losing a lot of time on that end. The alternative to that is, how do you do good active sourcing, is you actually pre-screen those candidates before you send them a message. But that is very time consuming, right? So depending on what kind of role you're sourcing for, you might actually have to look at thousands of profiles. We can run the math here, because you have to look at a couple of thousands of profiles potentially. Let's assume you have to speak to 25 candidates to make actually the hire. If you have a conversion rate of 5 from contact to call, and assuming you have actually set up a good search, so 20% of the results are actually good candidates, then, and if you assume you're spending 1 minute to actually look at the profiles, that's, in this scenario, 42 hours spent on just pre-screening the candidates, just looking at LinkedIn profiles, right? So it's very, very time consuming. What I will show you in this video is a system that will cut down the time for this from 42 hours to 30 minutes. And it's waiting time. It's actually not too much time of you spent. It's really just like the system itself. We need some time to run through those candidates. It will do it at 50% of the cost compared to hiring a service provider who might have like an offshore team doing that for you. And it's fully observable. So what do I mean by that? You actually see how those candidates were pre-screened. You see on those specific candidates which requirements are actually fulfilled and which ones are not fulfilled. And so this is a big, big difference to just having a yes or no, because you can actually change requirements in hindsight. In this tutorial, this is actually what I'm going to show you. In this specific scenario, we are going to look at an example job. We're going to look at a founding developer relations lead for this company called Vapi, very cool company. So in this scenario, we are narrowing down our LinkedIn search, which initially is showing us, I think, 190 candidates, and we're narrowing that down to the top 16, and then we're broadening it a little bit to the top 50. And for those top 50, we are actually creating personalized outreach messages. The checking of those 190 candidates took the system 5 minutes. So this is pretty amazing. So it's fast, affordable, it's on point. So if you're a recruiter and you want to spend less time looking at LinkedIn profiles and more time engaging with qualified candidates, then you should look this video and spend the next 40 minutes on learning how to build a system like this. Let's start by having a quick look at the tools we are going to use during this workflow. Tool number one is Clay. Clay is, I would say, a data enrichment, data orchestration tool. They do, I think, a nice job visualizing it in here. So you start with some sort of list of either companies or people, and you want to run a couple of actions on that list to qualify them or enrich them and use that data to then maybe even have some AI agent do some more research or like personalized messaging and so on. And then you want to push that final result into some sort of outreach tool, usually, right? To send emails or send LinkedIn messages and so on. The second tool we are using is Talent Source AI. Let's have a quick look at the website as well. So that is a tool I actually created. So this is something, it's like the title says, your team of AI talent sourcer. So a tool that helps you to reduce a list of thousands of potential candidates from a LinkedIn search down to like the top candidates you actually want to reach out. So it does automatically a bunch of background research on the candidates, including past and current employers, funding data, what do those companies actually do, and so on. And it's going to help you also to create basically the checklist. It's pre-screens those candidates based on the set checklist, and then really gives you the top candidates you actually want to reach out. The third tool is HeyReach. And HeyReach is an outbound automation tool. So you can set up your drip campaigns in here, and then they are orchestrated for you automatically, and you only have to jump in once a candidate actually replies. HeyReach is a neat tool, especially for agencies, because you can have a bunch of different LinkedIn profiles connected to the same HeyReach account, share access basically that way. And if you have enough accounts, it comes at one fixed cost. So it's like you don't pay per seat necessarily. They have an option to do that as well. But if you're an agency, you can have a bunch of different profiles connected to it. And also you can have one campaign running from multiple senders. So if you have a job where you really want to push a lot of volume through, you can do that easily with HeyReach by selecting multiple profiles for one specific campaign. So those are the three tools. And then obviously we're using LinkedIn for the actual search. In my setup here, I'm using the Sales Navigator to run the search. And yeah, those are all the tools we're going to look at now together. I did a little bit of research earlier, and I found this founding developer relations lead for this company called Vapi. This is the job, and we can maybe also have a quick look at the company. Pretty cool stuff. It's voice over API. So I guess that's where VAPI comes from, Voice API. It's a competitive solution, I would say, to the real-time voice API from OpenAI, for example, and it comes with a very competitive pricing. Very cool product. Might actually be something I want to also check out. So let's have a look quickly at the role so we know what we're looking for. So this is based in California, in San Francisco, developer relations lead, like I said. And here are the requirements. Before we dive into the specific, I think we want to actually jump ahead right away and already create the Sourcer briefing in Talent Sourcer AI. Let's just go in here and create a new job post. And this is for API. Unactive. And maybe we also drop in here a link for me to find it afterwards. The next step here is to create a Sourcer briefing. The Sourcer briefing is, you can think of it more or less as a checklist. It's version 1. And it's being created via this neat chatbot here. Let's create a Sourcer briefing. So it's telling us already what kind of data points it would like to get. We can often just drop a link. I think the links actually coming from LinkedIn, they are not accessible. So what we are going to do is we are just copying over all of this information and we are simply just dropping it in here. And what this does now is it's creating the structured checklist for Talent Sourcer AI. Then one of the first things we usually want to have a look at is what requirements we might want to kick out. So why would we want to kick out something? Job descriptions, they are written for candidates. So a candidate might look at it and, in this case, for example, realize, yes, I have strong communication skills. But the system is not speaking to the candidate. So it's hard to judge based on a LinkedIn profile if someone has strong communication skills or not. And there might be more in here where it's simply not feasible to judge those requirements based on looking at a LinkedIn profile. And even if you do some other research in the background, like the communication skills are just really hard to judge. So what the first step often is to just go in here, and I'm using something called Flow Whisper, a tool that allows me to just dictate in any text area or text box, basically. So I'm just going to tell the system here now, we are actually using this just to screen candidates based on their LinkedIn profile. So please remove any requirements that we can't really judge just by looking at their LinkedIn profile and the LinkedIn profiles of their past and current employers. And let's drop this in here. And now I assume the strong communication part is, for example, taken out. Actually, in this case, it isn't. Public speaking engagements, communication focus. Yes, those is correct, but I think from my experience, like people often wouldn't put it in there. So let's actually manually take this out. Please take out the following. I don't think that's feasible to judge based on a LinkedIn profile. Let's look at the other ones while this is putting it together. 2 years of experience in developer relations at a developer-focused startup. Yeah, technical background. Okay, here I think for this one I want to add also that we are that we also want to let the system judge based on what kind of companies they worked on in the past. For the following requirement, please also include in the description that we also want to have a look at the past and current employers. This might also give us some clues if the candidate actually worked with LLMs before. So this one here, portfolio of engaging technical content. Let's maybe have a quick look at the job description. So I think this might also be hard to judge. So if they really did, like, not every, it's not going to be easy to see, basically, this process. So I'll keep it in there, but I'll move it from a must-have to a nice to have. I think the following is often also not available on a LinkedIn profile, so let's move it from a must-have to a nice-to-have. Then what else do we have here? Then let's also give a little bit more guidance on this one. So experience with SEO, generative SEO, multimedia content. Maybe let's allow a little bit more interpretation here. For the following requirement, you can also infer from the roles the candidate actually had. So if you would typically find or need those skills to be successful in the specific role they had, then you can also assume that those skills are given. Okay. This sounds good. And then the startup experience. Let's quickly look at the original description here, actually. Yeah, they don't have it very precise. Yeah, let's keep it as it is here as well. And let's look at what we have actually created. Startup. Okay. Okay. So I like this one. Once we're happy with it, we can just bring it over into Talent Sourcer AI and save it. So this is now basically the checklist for all the candidates we are going to have a look at in the next steps. And let's actually have a look at the next steps. So we just created a job opening. We just created a sourcer briefing. Now next step is setting up and exporting our LinkedIn search. So let's do that. Like I shared earlier, I actually have a Sales Navigator. What we can do though here is since we already communicated with our chatbot here what we are actually looking for, we can also brainstorm a bit with them to figure out what would be a good search. So we could say something like, I'm setting up a search now in my LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Please provide me with a good search for this specific role. Let me know which filters I should set, and also let me know what kind of Boolean search strings, if any, might make sense. Please don't make the search too narrow, because I actually have a talent sourcer who is going to look at every profile of the results. Okay. So this is actually, I think some good guidance here. I put it California. Actually, let's see if Bay Area is actually San Francisco Bay Area. Yeah. Then current job titles. I have to put them in individually. And I might speed this up. So I'll be quiet actually and go set up the search now. And then I'll speed it up afterwards. All right. So I don't have the biggest network in the Bay Area, so there might be a bunch of more candidates I don't see in my search here. But if that is your market, you probably see way more people there. But I'll go ahead with those 191 candidates. So in a lot of cases, this won't just be 191, but rather, I don't know, 1,000+ candidates popping up in your final results. I mean, it's a very niche kind of role I'm working on here. Often you have roles like customer success manager, or you're looking for an account executive or so, where there are just so many people in those roles. So you won't be able to narrow it down that much, like in this case. And the LinkedIn filters are also limited in the sense of what kind of industries you really can pick from. You can not even SaaS or so is not an industry, right? So you would have to do a lot of research on the specific profiles that you have in your results. So in this specific case here, we niched it down quite a bit, but still, now we would have to look at those 191 profiles to figure out to get in touch with. So the next step is exporting your LinkedIn search. There are a bunch of different ways you can get that done. You can use something like Phantom Buster or Everboot, or Clay itself also has a way to pull the list from a Sales Navigator search. But there are also free ways. So I'll skip in the video. I'll skip the next step here of downloading it, but I'll basically just download now the CSV file that is pointing to the individual profiles. Okay, so I just downloaded this list, and now the next step for us is simply to go back into Talent Sourcer AI and upload the CSV with those profile links in it. And this is now basically lining up all those different candidates to be researched and then pre-screened. So if we give it a few seconds and refresh the page, you're going to see them line up here now. And basically what's happening in the background is the system is pulling a bunch of data of those profiles, so LinkedIn profiles itself, but also the profiles about of the past and current employers. It's going to pull funding data, for example, also on those past employers. It's going to look at what are those companies actually doing, and aggregating all that data. And that's then the basis to check all those candidates against the sourcer briefing we actually initially created here. So this obviously doesn't happen in a matter of seconds. So this takes a little bit of time. But if you think about like how long would it take an individual now to go over those profiles and do that depth of research, it would take quite long, right? So like if this is already a very niche list, so it's like 100, what did we say, 190 candidates here. To now go in here and look at the profiles and figuring out, okay, what are those companies actually doing here? Did they actually raise some funding in the past? Are those startups? Yes, no. All of that probably needs a minute at least, probably in a lot of cases even longer. So 190 minutes, that's more than 3 hours of work, right? And that time is now being cut down dramatically. So the average time right now, I think, the first results already coming in here. I think average time is like minutes max, like 1 to 2 minutes. Then a bunch of them are running in parallel. So yeah, let's see how long this specific list will take. Always depends also on how many past employers a specific candidate has on their profile, and the ones we're looking at now have like a years of experience. 3 to 10 years is what we put into our filters. So some of them might actually have quite a few jobs in the past. So, and all of those will be researched. So let's see how long it takes. I'll probably make a cut here, and then let's come back to it once the results are here. All right, so we have all 191 candidates analyzed now, and I sorted them based on the category. So the system thinks an A, B, C, no fit. A candidates, like Sean, have all must-haves and all nice-to-haves. B candidates, like here, this one, have all must-haves and some nice-to-haves. And I don't know if you have C candidates. In this case, we don't. C candidates would have only the must-haves. So we have now those 17. The last one here is a little bit odd. I think this is just a profile this company actually created to market their developers. So 16 people that actually fitting all, or like at least the must-haves. And that kind of showcases where the value comes in from the setup, right? Like, so we would have to look at those 191 candidates or 190 candidates to find those 16 that we actually want to reach out to. And we did this now within a few minutes instead of spending those 3+ hours. The other cool thing here is we can actually filter on specific requirements also. So in hindsight, if we feel like maybe the experience using LLMs, process automation is maybe not really a must-have, actually, like as long as these two are given, that would be great. And maybe also some startup experience would be good. Then let's apply those filters, and now we see all the candidates that have those. And so, for example, this increased now the talent pool to 50, right? So if we look into these specific candidates, doesn't mention anything about LLMs or process automation, but actually ticks a lot of boxes, right? So this might also be a candidate we want to reach out to. So maybe we even changed our mind in this case now, and because 16 is it's a very small number to reach out to, right? So maybe in this case, actually, since we realized it's actually very little candidates that really fit all the boxes, we maybe focus on these. So the next step here for us, so we just checked our candidates with Talent Source AI, would be now to import these into Clay to personalize the outreach for those candidates. So how do we do that? We can simply export these selected candidates here. And what's happening is now that we are getting an export file in a minute or so. There it is. And we just simply download it. In our Clay table. So I set already up a Clay table here. This is how Clay looks like. You can think of it as it's a table like the name says. So like a Google Sheets or so table, but the specific columns can actually run actions. So let's import our CSV. And in the table, how I set it up, we are actually pulling the results data from Talent Source AI. So Talent Source AI has an API, so can also be integrated into any other tools like Clay, or you might have like some Zapier automations running, or Make.com automations running, or a custom build tool. If you want to integrate this functionality, you can basically do it via the API. So we actually just want to pull from that export the candidate, not category, actually the ID. And this is the candidate check ID. I prepared this table already and put in my API key here in this column. So all that is left now is to actually run these rows, and it's going out and fetching the data on those specific candidates. It says no fit here. Remember, we changed our requirements in hindsight once we realized, actually, with the initial set of requirements, we only have 16 candidates. So we loosened it a little bit and now have those 50. And if we look into any specific candidate and look into the results, you get a bunch of different things. See a summary here and so on. But what we're actually using now is also this checked source briefing, where we are actually pulling in also which must-haves and nice-to-haves are fulfilled, etc. Maybe one other thing to point out here in the results is we are also giving you the full candidate profile. So this is a profile from the LinkedIn profile, basically. So similar to the enrichment you can run in Clay, so you don't have to spend any extra credits from your Clay credits. You get this already when you use Talent Source AI. Clay can do a lot of different things. And one thing that makes sense to point out here is, let's delete this one row with this data stacks one, is using AI on specific columns here to, for example, cleaning them, right? So like if you send out now automated messages, you want to still make sure they are as human as possible. And a few things catch my eye here. So you don't want to use an emoji, for example, in a message, right? Because it's pretty clear it's automation. If it's then Elvis is spelled here with a small e, you probably want to capitalize it, and stuff like that. So one way you can do it is, let's add an enrichment here. And we can let's just come up with a prompt here. Please normalize the following first name from a LinkedIn profile. And a little bit more guidance, remove emojis, capitalize where needed, use nicknames if they are provided. Only return the final first name. Here is the data. cleaned first name. I can try it also here always without spending any credits. Actually, not sure if in the first 5 there's anything to be cleaned. Doesn't look like it. So let's just save and run. So here, emoji is gone. Elvis is capitalized. Manpreet, Preet. Yep. So names are cleaned. So let's use these moving forward. Yeah, we're actually just using the first name in the messaging. So we could do obviously the same for the last names when needed. Then about the job, this should actually pre-fill. I already created a little snippet about the company and about the jobs, and I figured, or ChatGPT helped me to maybe come up with a few selling points about the candidates, what might be interesting for the candidate we're approaching. Obviously, if you're actually recruiting on a job, you know way better about like why this job might be attractive to the candidates you're reaching out to. All right, so this should actually pre-fill here. So let's just resave this, refresh the page. Let's do that. Actually, I don't want to run this yet. The others here, we actually can. I'm just going to copy it down. Sometimes Clay can be a little bit buggy. And what's happening actually here now? Like you see, it's starting, it's called LinkedIn message 1, LinkedIn message 2. So what I actually set up here, if you take a look at the specific column, is I created a prompt with the objective. Your goal is to personalize messages for reaching out to candidates, to a candidate on LinkedIn. You will choose the most suitable template and generate a message that maximizes interest and engagement, aiming for the highest reply rate possible. Then I gave it a bunch of different things as input also. The LinkedIn profile data, the information about the role, the employer research. So that's basically what we also get from Talent Source AI. I mentioned earlier, there's a bunch of things that's happening in the back end, adding additional research about past employers. Then the checked sourcer briefing, so that checklist basically, which requirements are fulfilled, which ones are not, and why. And then the process, analyze the LinkedIn profile data, choose a template, fill out the placeholders, and then return the finalized personalized message. And then a few different templates here to choose from. I'm giving it data, I'm adding a couple of instructions in terms of length of the message that's being created and so forth. And then I'm doing the same or similar for the second message. So that's basically the follow-up message where I'm also providing it with the initial message. So it has context about what was already communicated with the candidate before. And then we have messages like the following. Hi, Lucy. I came across your profile and was genuinely impressed by your extensive experience in developer relations, especially your work with startups. At VAPI, we are seeking a founding developer relations lead to shape our developer community engaged with cutting-edge voice AI technology. Would you be open to a brief chat to explore if this could be a great fit for your next career move? Then the follow-up message, hey, Lucy, I wanted to follow up because our hiring process for the developer relations lead role at VAPI is moving quickly, and your background in engaging developers and your hands-on experience with startups really caught my eye. If you're even a bit curious about this opportunity, let's seek a quick chat to explore if it aligns with your goals. Looking forward to hearing back from you. This can obviously be further fine-tuned, right? Like we can put different things here in the job in the about the job part that maybe sell specific parts better. For sure, we can also rework and more on these templates here. This is just something I quickly put together, but this could be done obviously more meticulously, and maybe you have already some templates you want to actually use here as a starting point and so on. So we just finished importing the data into Clay. We ran all these integrations here with ChatGPT to personalize messages. And then the last thing that is missing here is actually uploading it to HeyReach. It's erroring out because it's only allowing me to push it to an active campaign. So this is just a demo. I obviously don't want to put it on active because I'm currently not supporting VAPI. So the error is going to stay here. But what I can show you is this draft campaign in HeyReach. So what I set up here as an example is this campaign. It looks a little bit crazy, but it's actually pretty straightforward. We're sending as a first step here in this example a connection request. If this has been accepted, then we send a follow-up message or the first message after 3 hours. This first message is the one we actually put together in Clay. And we also have a fallback message in case this is not provided. In our case, it will be provided in all the scenarios. Then 3 days later, if we haven't heard back, we are sending another message. This is the personalization number 2. This, again, the message we created in our Clay table. And after that, this campaign ends. The other route here, if after 2 days, the candidate still hasn't accepted the connection request, meaning we cannot send them a normal message, we like a post, we wait 2 days, we view the profile, we wait 2 days, and if we still haven't gotten an accepted connection request, we actually send an email. And in that email here, in this scenario, I put in this personalization number 1. We could actually consider if down here we maybe also want to add one more step instead of having it end here. I mean, we could still send, for example, also an email if you wanted to. That I think pushes also to the email where the message, just a pure message, might actually not be as prominent. So up to you. Like, you can do a lot of different things here in HeyReach and then push this out. And as I said, you can connect multiple senders to the same campaign. So if you have a lot of urgency on a specific role and you have multiple LinkedIn profiles you would run this campaign from, you can just set it all up and actually have quite a few messages go through it. So that's basically the whole setup. So again, what did we do? We created a job opening and a sourcer briefing here in Talent Sourcer AI. We then downloaded or set up a search in our LinkedIn Sales Navigator, downloaded the links to the different profiles, uploaded them into Talent Source AI. Talent Source AI went out and did all this background research on the candidates and past and current employers, and then analyzed all of that for us. We realized that we only have 16 candidates that really fit the initial briefing we put together. So we loosened our requirements a little bit here and removed one from the must-haves. That gave us then those 50 or 49 candidates to work with. We moved those over into Clay, added a little bit of the selling points of the job, personalized all the messages based on that, right? So we can look at some more. Hey, Rita. Hi, Rita. I was impressed by experience as a senior program manager and developer relations at Snowflake and your role at Cardless. Vapi is looking for a founding and developer relations lead to shape our developer community using cutting-edge voice AI technology. I believe your background would be a great fit. Would you be open? And then the next one is because our hiring process for this role is moving quickly, and so on, right? And I mean, maybe one point to also note here, you can really personalize messages on scale with this at a very, very low price point, right? So, and then we push all of that into a campaign we set up on HeyReach, which we then can set live and have execute against a bunch of different, they call it LinkedIn senders, so different LinkedIn profiles we use for outreach. And all of the replies would be actually consolidated also in here. So we could just look at them and answer them, and then in the uni box. So easy to share and manage multiple accounts at the same time. So yeah, so that's the tutorial. I called it the full AI recruitment tutorial, so candidate sourcing and personalized outreach automation. Please let me know if you have any feedback. Should I do more videos around this? Do you have any other workflows? Do you have any questions? Let me know. Happy to hear your thoughts on this. And please follow me if you are interested generally in AI and recruitment and AI and sales as well. So anything, that cross section is what I'm working on.